let's dive into how you would go about doing the targeting. Now, when you're on the screen here, you can see that there's an audience drop down here, audiences drop down that LinkedIn already provides you some pre-created lists. So for an example, you have expertise in development operations or event planners or financial advisors. And while these lists are great, what will end up happening is if you use one of these lists, you would end up having a lot of wasted budget. And I'll go into the details of that a bit, but let's start off on creating or manually creating an audience for ourselves. So first of all, let's put in the location. So if you're a local business, you only focus, let's say you're focusing only in a specific state, so Victoria, you could do that, or you could target by the location. So if I go here, type in Victoria, I can get Victoria. Even if you're not serving the entirety of Victoria and just serving Melbourne, you could choose Melbourne, and accordingly that audience would be narrowed down. Now I've chosen Australia here. Now as soon as I choose the Australia as the location, you can see that on the right hand side I already get a forecasted results. So there's about 12 million people. That's a part of the audience that my ads can reach to. And it says that the 30-day spend is between 370 to 900 with a CTR of 0.16 to 0.32, and expect to get anywhere between 11 to 38 leads with that many number of clicks. So that's the forecast sort of screen, and that's going to be very useful for us to be able to further narrow down the audience and see what results we can expect by running this campaign. So I'm going to go further and sort of start applying a bit of a narrower focus on the audience. So you've already selected the location. We'll come back to the exclude people in other locations in a bit, but let's focus on this button here, which is narrow the audience further. Now here is where most of the game is, under the audience attributes. The audiences tab allows you to do a little bit of magic targeting, which we will dive into in the advanced course. But more specifically, if you're setting this up for the first time, or if you just want to get an idea of, or you want to run, your campaigns early on in your life cycle of a huge budget, then that's where you would start off. Now, there's a few options here that we will go through in a bit, but important to understand that this is equally the same options that most other advertisers will get when they start running their campaigns too. So what ends up happening here is that either most people will target people using either their job functions or job seniorities or job titles or their skills or years of or their skills, or they end up targeting them by the company industries, company categories, and so on and so forth. So there's a lot of people that will end up using those options, and what that means for you is if they use the same options as you're using, then you're competing for the same audience, which in turn raises your cost per click. So the notion that you have to be very specific on this screen, try and be as specific as you can, try and define your audience to the most precise factors, would help you perform better on LinkedIn. So what I'm going to do, let's say for an example, in my case, I'm trying to target, let's say, not only marketing managers, but I'm also trying to target people within a certain age group. I'm trying to target people, with a certain, maybe they've just out of college, maybe they've just gone through a job change and a range of issues. So let's go into that a bit. So first of all, I'm going to go into the job experience, and I am going to create some combinations here. So obviously, if I look at the job functions, I can, this is very, very broad for me, because anyone could be interested in doing a marketing course or a LinkedIn course. But from a perspective of, let's say, I just want to focus on people that have an interest or have existing skills that they can supplement, then that's what I'm going to target upfront. So job titles, I am probably going to look for marketing managers. So marketing specialist fits perfectly into what I'd like to do. So marketing specialist as a job role. And then what the system does, it starts pointing out to me all these other sort of, sort of things or titles that people use. Remember, you can call yourself whatever on LinkedIn. You can call yourself, Office Ninja, for an example. And that means you would be excluded from this list. So it's quite cheeky. I'll get to how you would also cover those sort of people. But first of all, let's start with marketing specialists. So I'll start checking everyone else that I think would still be within that bucket. So social media marketing qualifies, marketing manager, sales and marketing assistant, specialist, intern. So that's obviously one I want. Online marketing specialist, automation specialist, email specialist. Probably not the chief marketing officer. I mean, I think that to have that position, you've already further up the chain. You're probably not involved in day-to-day execution of the strategy itself, so probably not that one. And then I choose marketing managers, and then you have some more. No problems with senior marketing manager. Remember, senior simply implies that they still doing the execution or still involved in the execution of the strategy, but they are not managing people. So if you're looking for job titles where you're looking for owners or managers or directors, then you would obviously end up excluding everyone that is a senior. So that excludes the large chunk of people that have a senior position but are not involved in day-to-day management of people. So go on, marketing managers, community marketing manager, online managers, digital executives, social media, head of marketing, sure, why not? Director of marketing creative services, and again, we exclude that one. So as you can see, your audience size on the right sort of changes if I take one off. If I take a few off, actually, let's try and take a big chunk off at the top. See that marketing specialist, the audience size becomes 120,000. Change that, becomes 180,000. Changes the impressions, changes the CTR, and changes everything else. So we've got it really down to 180,000 people with the options that I've chosen here. So I'm gonna take that. I'm gonna go back again into the job experience, and I'm probably gonna try and see if I can fit in some skills as well. So I want to target people that have some SEO experience because they can benefit from a LinkedIn course. So I'd say if they have SEO audits as a skill, they have copywriting as a skill, and then they may have that skill. They may have copywriting skill, mobile marketing, content writing, local search optimization, link building, direct marketing, SEO Moz as a software. But let's say I also want to target people that have done PPC before. So not necessarily they already done PPC before. They have that as a skill, so not the right sort of audience. But I'm just going to put that in for the purposes of this explanation. So it is these people or these people. Remember, that's not an and, so that's not a cross. It's actually an or. So that sort of clarifies what your audience is. So about 570,000 people in that bucket. You can do that by seniority, break them down, and you can see there's still about 30% people in that senior level. So again, you'd have to go back to your selections and try and see what you can cut off. So director, marketing, creative services, if I cut that off, still doesn't make a big change. And so you'd have to run through your entire thing to try and cut as many people that are either the directors, managers, and probably even from a large chunk of the senior people. Because really, this course is targeted towards the people that are either entry level, probably even owners, and those sort of things. So you can always play around here. Years of experience. You don't want people with 12 plus years of experience. Obviously, that's a lot. You don't even want people with about 9 years of experience. Now remember, there's a lot of people in here that put in a lot of people on LinkedIn will put in a skill, like they'll put in a skill that says PPC since 9 years, but they've basically run one campaign at some point in time. So don't be entirely convinced by what you see here. You've got to go with what's your best course of action in terms of what do you make what are the sort of choices you've got. I don't want anyone in the director be targeted, because I'm pretty sure that a director is not going to be involved in execution strategy unless it's a one-man business, which I'll show you how you'd go about targeting. So we've targeted that a bit, so I've got a decent list here, and now we will work on exclusions. So remember, as I said earlier, the more you work on targeting, the more fine-tuned your targeting options are, the better the results are. So if you spend an hour creating a campaign on LinkedIn, about 35 minutes should just probably go on creating the target audience. So that's the nature of how tedious this exercise should be. So we go here, and now we narrow, we exclude the audience. So we want to remove everyone that doesn't fit our bill, and we want to narrow that audience down. And the more exclusions you can provide, the better the campaign will perform. See, this is the problem with most ad campaigns we see. People have a good targeting, and this is what most people will end up targeting. Either they'll target the function or the seniority or the member skills, even job titles, obviously job titles, but they won't have a good exclusion in place to remove everyone else that shouldn't be seeing their ads or clicking on ads. So if you're doing the same thing as others, you'd end up paying more for each of your clicks. So let's do a bit of exclusion. So we go audience here. Let's first start off with just think about this for a second. Demographics. I won't be able to, based on protected characteristics, member age may not be used as an exclusion. So that's a problem. Go back, job experience. Member skills, don't want anyone with project management experience, right? Don't want anyone with so as soon as I removed the project management, you can see program management, you can see the size reduces to about 460,000. And the other thing you would note is that the removing the program management also increases my entry position list here. So if I remove that 23 becomes 26. And now I'll just continue excluding stuff that I believe only belongs to a senior member. So for an example, project management, yes, I want to remove that. I want to remove IT project and program management. So as you can see, my entry level people list is just growing. Remove project management, remove program delivery management, senior program management, probably remove program management professionals, and I'll remove all of these here. So quite a few removed. Now my entry has basically become 31% of the list. Senior have become 30, with directors, managers, and owners making a small percentage there. So go back, and then obviously I am looking for excluding director level. So obviously I want to exclude directors, and you can see that the directors now shrunk to about 4%. So I'm going to exclude every sort of director there to try and see if I can get rid of even of those 4% there. Now, having gotten rid of everything there, you can still see that there's still about 4% directors and owners. So we'll probably go back again. Let's see, owner comes up. Yep. So there you go. So if I take owner out, so if I keep it on, it's 8%, as you can see here. If I take it out, it's 3%. So co-owner. So again, so a lot to do with how owners will title themselves. Somebody will say, Chief Resident Happiness Officer, and ridiculous titles, and so on and so forth. So there's obviously some cheekiness there. Hard to remove them. Product owner, probably not going to take a digital marketing course. Small business owner, definitely. Small business owner, it's if and buts there. Franchise owner, probably not. Shop owner, I'll leave that. Salon owner, probably not. Agency owner, definitely not. Assistant to owner, we'll leave it on there for now. So as you see, my audience size went from 580 to 230,000, with a large chunk of them the entry position. So I'm really focusing on people that I want, that are at the early stage of their career, that will learn something by taking this course, and will obviously be able to gain something out of this entire thing. So there's still a lot of senior people in there, and then you could continue filtering this even further by even interests and member traits. So anything senior, anything that requires senior, so tech, SEO audits, those sort of things that probably require some senior to be able to do, you can continue to take down. And that's how you derive your list. Now you can save the audience by clicking the save audience button here. Name it whatever you want to call it, entry level audience minus the directors and minus all that thing, and then that's how you create your first targeting. Now there's an option here to enable audience expansion, and I really recommend to uncheck this. Don't have this on, and the reason for this is the audience expansion basically creates a larger pool of people that just put skills up for just put skills on their resume. So you've been working in digital marketing industry, and you've really never sort of done project management, but people will put on project management as one of their core skills, and this is what this audience expansion enables you to do. So if you put project management, then it will also target all the people that have similar or matching matching skills to project management, and that sort of really broadens the pool. So if I check that on, you can see on the right hand side my impressions would really go up, so 25,000 to 100,000 impressions, although the results will still remain similar. The other thing to note is if I enable the audience expansion, you can see my spend will go up to $500. So that's a bit about the targeting of so uncheck that. So that's a bit about the targeting of how you go about setting this whole thing up. Ensure that you have your seniority, your function, your years of experience, and everything broken down properly. Make sure you've got the right audience. Save the audience for targeting, and then we move on to the next step.